Thank you for tuning into this 2023 General Election Candidate Forum for the City of Lacey Council, Positions 2 and 3. This forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County in collaboration with Thurston Community Media. The League of Women Voters is proud to be nonpartisan, neither supporting nor opposing candidates or political parties at any level of government, but always working on vital issues of concern to members and the public to defend our democracy and empower voters. I am Darlene Hine from the League, and I will be moderating this forum. Barbara Steffen will be our timer. The City of Lacey has a council manager form of government. The City Council consists of 7 part-time, nonpartisan members selected at large to 4-year terms. The council elects one of its members as a mayor and another as deputy mayor, and appoints a full-time professional city manager to oversee the administrative functions of the city and to implement the policies and goals of the City Council. The City Council's primary duties are to make laws, adopt regulations and budgets, levy taxes, authorize public improvements, provide for public safety and health, approve boards and commission appointments, and oversees a wide-ranging agenda for the community of Lacey. There are 4 candidates participating in this forum. The candidates are Position 2 are Lenny Greenstein and Spencer Zeman. The candidates for Position 3 are Nicolas and Ed Kunkel. Ed Kunkel was unable to join us today, and Lenny Greenstein is joining us through Zoom. For this forum, each candidate will have an opportunity to answer a series of questions. We will call on candidates by position and alphabetical order, and the questions will be alternated so each has a chance to start the first. You each may also give a 1-minute closing statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. If you need me to repeat a question, don't hesitate to ask. The timer will turn yellow when you have 15 seconds left, and then we'll show you a stop sign when your time is up. If you don't notice the sign, I will tell you when your time is up. We stress the importance of civility in our forums. Candidates, you each have received the ground rules for the forums and agree to abide by them. For the first question, I will begin with Lenny Greenstein. Question 1. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this position?
Thank you, Darlene. I think the reason I'm the most qualified is experience. I've served on the Lacey City Council now for 11 years. We've had some great success in that time. We've really improved the quality of life, I believe, for the citizens of Lacey. In addition to my experience on council, I served on the Lacey Planning Commission and was the chair of the Planning Commission before I served on council. Also have served on the Thurston County Board for the Chamber and served as the president of my homeowners association for 13 years. I live in what is, at that time, was the largest homeowners association in Thurston County, and now I believe is the 2nd largest. But we have over 850 homes, and I managed and served as that president, like I said, for 13 years. So I have a lot of experience in working in this type of environment.
For the the next person answering that question will be Spencer Zeman.
Thank you, Darlene. I bring a wealth of experience from a very diverse set of backgrounds. As a disabled Army veteran, I've served my country for 4 years, including 1 combat tour in Afghanistan where I was wounded. In addition to that, I've served on the Capital Area Region Facilities Planning District Board, which oversees the Hands-On Children's Museum, as well as the Regional Athletic Center's financials to ensure that the money is being spent properly and that we're maintaining these facilities appropriately. In addition to that, I've been an advocate and volunteer in the community since I moved to Thurston County 12 years ago. Some of those obligations are being a member of Rotary, as well as supporting Zonta Club of Olympia, and many other nonprofit organizations through my efforts volunteering, as well as financially when I was able to. I am a small business owner, so I bring a wealth of experience from being a father and a parent to the business community, and as well as in the volunteer and nonprofit. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Nicolas, you are next.
Thank you. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, candidates, for being here. My name is Nick Dunning. I am a University of Washington graduate with an honors degree in politics and economics. I am a combat veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan, and I own multiple small businesses in our community. I think what makes me most qualified is that I am a direct reflection of what Lacey is and what makes Lacey great, and that is our community. Small business is extremely lacking on our city council as far as representation goes. I've created over 200 jobs in our community, and in the last 10 years I've raised over $3 million in taxes for our community. And when the city council skews too heavily in a direction that doesn't involve small business and doesn't have small business owners on it, I think we start making decisions that aren't directed towards the community, and I think that reflects in some of the frustrations that our community has.
Thank you. The second question, I will begin with Spencer Zeman. Question number 2, what elements do you think should be included in the city's diversity, equity, and inclusion plan?
Perfect. That is one of my passions. When I went through this program from the Thurston County Chamber of Commerce called Leadership Thurston County, we spent an entire day, 10 hours of instruction covering diversity, equity, and inclusion. We had officials from the president of the newly founded Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office at the state of Washington, all the way down to a local instructor and trainer come in and explain why these elements are important. As a member of the LGBTQ+ community, I understand what it feels like to be on the outside, to be an other. And I also understand that when we bring in diverse voices, we bring in new perspectives, we bring in lived experiences that aren't being represented, and we can form a more comprehensive and robust solution to our problems and a pathway forward that involves everyone and not just those who have a voice at the table already. Thank you.
Nick Dunning?
Yes, I think the biggest thing that I would like to focus on as far as my priorities, being that I'm a small business owner, being that I'm a military veteran, is I would really like to see a much larger focus with the Thurston Chamber, with the Economic Development Council, with the Lacey Chamber of Commerce on pushing minority small businesses. And the reason why is that business is the backbone of our community. And when you give people from different backgrounds, which represent the actual demographics of our community, a chance to better themselves, it also betters their community and gives people more opportunity. And I think the best way we can move forward is by lifting up people and giving people a chance that might not otherwise get one.
Okay, thank you. Lenny?
Thank you. So Lacey is the most diverse community in Thurston County by far. And I think we've done a pretty fair job of being inclusive. And I was a supporter from the beginning of setting up our diversity, equity, and inclusion commission that we formed. And their function is to look at everything that we're doing as a city and make sure that we are being equitable and fair and bringing in all of the different voices. So I think we're working hard at improving from where we are. I think we've done a good job, but it's getting better. And I think it's critical that we continue that work. Obviously, everyone in the community should have a voice. Local government is the place where your voice is most loudly heard. So I think it's important that we have all of the voices in our community at the table. And we work hard to make sure that happens in Lacey.
Thank you, Lenny. For the third question, I will begin with Nicolas Dunning. The question 3 is, in light of an ever-increasing population and the impacts of climate change, what do you think the city must do to ensure an adequate source of water?
I think if we really want to talk about just the water, it's a much bigger issue than just the water issue. It's really an issue in how we develop and grow our city. And I think if you look around Lacey specifically, you'll see a lot of areas that are a little run down or a little old, and then you'll see a lot of areas where we're expanding and growing really quickly and really getting away from parks, really getting away from these communal areas where people can enjoy the outdoors and the space. And so I really think we need to push hard to redevelop a lot of the areas in our community to make them better, to make them brighter, instead of infringing on areas that are really going to take away from our natural resources. So as we start making plans in the next 5 to 10 years, I think we need to do a much better job of revitalizing our current community mixed with new growth.
Thank you. Lenny, Greenstein?
Thank you. So water rights have been an issue in the city of Lacey and in other communities all around Washington for a very long time. When I was first on the council, we actually had an area of Lacey, the northeast part of Lacey, where we weren't allowing any new growth because we couldn't guarantee the water rights. So we worked hard and we were able to purchase and work together with some of our neighboring communities to add significant additional water rights. And we now have enough water without having to get any new water rights for at least the next 30 years of development. So we're actually not in a terribly bad place when it comes to water. But it's critical that we continue to do mitigation work to make sure we keep our streams and our lakes and our rivers and water healthy, so that we continue to have good water going into our groundwater and into the aquifer. And again, that's another area that we're working hard. Our city does a lot of work in mitigation to make sure we protect the wetlands, protect all those areas that are critical to the long-term survival of our water source. So.
Thank you, Lenny. Spencer?
Yes, to Lenny Greenstein's point, the city did expand their water rights recently this year, and while that is an excellent addition, I feel like, having looked through the urban growth areas, the expected population that's coming to the area, I talked with people from the Association of Washington Cities and Association of Washington Businesses, and they're expecting Lacey specifically to grow to 150,000 people within the next 20 years. And when I look through that plan that was passed recently by the council, I think that that would be pushing the limits of what we just adopted as a city. And I know that is a 20 or 30-year problem, but if we don't start now, we're not going to be on target by the time we get there. And that's where my concern is with that. I feel like we need to have a longer vision than that. And I know it's really hard to plan accurately further than a few years down the road, but we need to have that roadmap in place. We need to have the next step on the agenda, and thank you.
The fourth question goes first to Lenny Greenstein. Question 4, how well is Lacey managing the issue of homelessness? And what else do you think needs to be done? Lenny?
Thank you. Well, I think that's an area that Lacey has actually shined. I think we've done a far better job than most other communities, and certainly than our neighboring communities, in that we've developed processes where we have mobile outreach teams and rapid response teams that are now meeting with people in their location, where they are and where they need the help. And the goal is to find out what is the issue and what do you specifically need so that we can get you the help you need. The bottom line is, as long as we don't treat this as what it is, a drug and alcohol and mental health problem, we will never get to better resolutions. This is not an affordable housing issue, as some would like to paint it. This is a medical problem. This is a drug addiction problem. This is a mental health problem. And we have to get people the help they need. If we can't get them the services they need, we cannot help them get out of homelessness. And I think that's something we're working toward. Lacey's done a pretty good job and has gotten quite a few people out of the situations they were in and into better positions, but we have to continue that work. It's going to be primarily about putting the money and making sure, I think there's enough money. We just have to spend it correctly. We have to spend it towards services to help people get off of drugs. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're on a time zone. The next person to speak is Spencer, the same question.
Absolutely. I was a huge advocate of the Regional Housing Council, which my opponent voted against earlier this year. I think this is the first substantive adoption of measures to address the houselessness issue that's been plaguing our community for quite some time now. It's not a new issue, and it's the #1 issue that when I speak with voters and constituents that they bring up. And there's a good reason for that. There's a lot of accompanying effects. And I think until recently, we haven't been addressing the core functions of that. And there's one that Lenny missed in his statement, and that is poverty. Lacey, the median income in Lacey is $39,500. The median home price is $536,500. Those numbers don't add up. When you are spending 40 to 50% of your income on rent, we have a problem. So I believe that as a city, we need to provide opportunities and higher wage jobs to help people meet those obligations. Thank you.
Nick?
This is an interesting topic because I've spoken to members directly involved with the cleanup along the freeway who work for the Department of Transportation. I've spoken with a couple hundred community members who are frustrated with the progress and how things are moving. I think this is one of the biggest issues that separate me and my opponent. Lacey is the biggest city in Thurston County now, and we need to set the example. Part of setting the example is working together with the other communities. I have about 50 or so members of the Olympia and Lacey Police Department as members by Jim who deal with this on a daily basis. And what they know that the average person doesn't know is that these rules don't just stop on Lacey limits or Olympia limits. Our borders cross over all over the place, and the average resident doesn't know that. So unless we work with the entire county and with the Department of Transportation, we are not going to move forward. And my opponent voted against that.
Thank you. The fifth question goes first to Spencer Zeman. Question 5. What are your views on the city's land use planning and regulation, particularly regarding the sitting of commercial warehouses versus housing?
Thank you, Darlene. That's a really large topic, and I think there's a lot of work to be done there. Last year, there were 2 developments that came through Lacey that caused a public outroar or furor, and for good reason. These were businesses that had flawed application processes, and as that process unraveled, we saw that the hearings examiner had made several suggestions that went unacknowledged by both the council as well as it seemed like the staff at the city. And yes, while it is very hard to be knowledgeable about an 800-page document, when you have a 96% plus negative public opinion towards a project, it may be worth pausing and tabling that and reviewing that further in detail. And I think when it comes to warehouses versus housing, we should be focusing on housing, as that has been a chronic issue for decades.
Sorry. I don't know where I am.
I think Greenstein.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we'll try again. The next question, the same question goes to Lenny Greenstein.
Can you repeat the question, Darlene?
Yes, I'm happy to repeat the question. What are your views on the city's land use planning and regulation, particularly regarding the sitting of commercial warehouses versus housing?
Okay. So, as my opponent mentioned, that we had a couple of pretty controversial land use issues this last year, and that's very true. Unfortunately, in the way the process is set up, and it's something that we've been taking serious looks at and have to continue looking at, but the hearings examiner process is, in my opinion, a flawed process where council is not able to get as involved in some of these decisions as we should, as we'd like to. But the end result is we have zoning, and the areas that we have warehousing have been zoned that way for quite a long time. We really are not at a point now where you're going to see much more of that warehousing built, because all of the property, all of the land that was in those types of zones has pretty much been built out. And at this point, most of the new construction you're going to see will be more housing. What you're seeing right now is a lot of multifamily housing going up in different parts of Lacey, but it's really a zoning issue. And I think it's something that we are starting to look at a little bit more deeply, and we need to take a deeper focus into that.
Thank you, Lenny. The sixth and final question goes to Nicolas Dunning.
I didn't answer that one yet.
Oh, you didn't answer it? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How did I lose that?
I would love to, though.
I think you should. Okay. Nick?
Yes, and I want to thank both the points that Spencer and Lenny brought up here. I will, however, say that I do feel, and a lot of the community feels, like that response that the city council can't do enough is inherently false and is actually against the laws that are on the books. I think it is used a lot of times to put justification behind decisions that they don't actually want to tell the community that they're making, because that's the decision they want to make. And I think this goes back to some of the problems I discussed earlier. When you have a council that is over half involved in the real estate industry and realty industry, they are not going to go against any land use decision that is proposed. They will fight tooth and nail. And you see that because later on, like Lenny said, when they had a chance to fix and address some of those issues, they actually voted down the changing of the laws to allow more community input. And that's just wrong.
Thank you. The sixth and final question goes to Nick Dunning. Question 6. How would you work to include local tribal leadership in decisions involving topics of mutual interest?
That is a great question. Really, the tribes are an enormous part of our community, and I speak with them, members of the tribes, on a daily basis. And I would love to see them be more involved in the city council, and I know they already do a great job, but when you look at how important they are to our community and how essential they are to our community, I think we need to do better outreach and better communication, and as the council in a whole, work better with bringing tribal leaders and community leaders in to see their input, because when it comes down to it, you know, they've been here a lot longer than us, and what happens with our land use decisions, I think they should be heavily involved in putting input on those.
Spencer?
Thank you, Darlene. I agree. Through my business, I have interfaced with all of the local tribal organizations considerably. They have been clients of mine since my inception 10 years ago. And so I've had a chance to interact with a lot of their leadership. And yes, things have gotten a lot better. There's become a lot more of a mutual relationship and understanding and acknowledgement of their place in our ecosystem, in our economy, and the rights that need to be respected as people who were here first. And I think that while we are making good steps, there's always more that we can do in that department and in terms of engagement. And I would suggest that we have a standing meeting with the local tribal organizations, not just wait till it involves them directly. I think that would be an excellent way to make sure that we maintain those relationships and that we continue to strengthen them as partners in our community. And I know that when we work together, everybody's gonna win. Thank you.
Thank you. Lenny Greenstein?
So we work very closely with the Nisqually tribe in particular, because they're the ones that have the most impact in Lacey and are most involved in Lacey. So you may or may not know, but the Nisqually tribe owns the piece of property along I-5 where Cabela's is, pretty much from Marvin to Carpenter, pretty much that whole stretch. And we just recently, in fact, I think it was last week or the week before, had a joint meeting with them to discuss the future plans for that property. They're going to be building on that property what's called Quemet Village, and they're going to be building a mixed use type setup. You're going to see entertainment type things, you're going to see housing, you're going to see retail, all kinds of things. So we work quite closely with the tribe, and I think it's critical. They are a major part of our population, they're a major landowner within the city, and obviously they had this land long before we did. So I think it's critical that we continue those relationships.
Thank you, Lenny. You now have 1 minute for a closing statement, beginning with Lenny Greenstein.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and TC Media for providing this forum. I think it's critical that local elections get this kind of presentation. It just isn't done often enough. I love Lacey, and I've dedicated myself to service in it since I moved here in 2006. I'm proud of the progress we've made in making it a place where people want to live, work, and raise a family. I ask for your vote to keep fighting for our law enforcement. I will continue to support policies that connect those experiencing homelessness with shelter and services to get out of unsanitary and unsafe conditions and on a path to recovery and success. I will continue to hold the council accountable for how they spend your money. This includes prioritizing funding for basic city services while making smart investments in our city infrastructure to keep our roads, parks, and utilities the best in the region. Please visit my website at lennyforlacey.com and reach out with any questions or to set up coffee. I ask for your vote so we can keep moving Lacey forward.
Thank you. Next will be Spencer Zeman.
As with Lenny, I would like to thank everybody who's watching this and all of the effort that goes into this. You can't see, but there's a tremendous number of volunteers and people here today, and it's wonderful. I highly encourage the outreach, and I would love for every voter to have their voice. So please, if you feel like you have an issue that hasn't been heard, or you would like to speak with somebody who's interested in local government, when elected, I promise that I will listen. And I promise that I will respond. And I will do whatever I can to research those issues and provide you with a reasoning, a solution, and a pathway forward if we identify a change that needs to be made. I will be responsive. I bring a wealth of experience. And I believe that as a 37-year-old single father, I represent the average citizen of Lacey better than some of the members of the council do. And I'd like to see quality of life be our primary focus. Thank you.
Nick Dunning.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you again for everyone here. When you think about city council, it really is the direct representation of the community. And when you're dealing with politics, city council really shouldn't be about politics. It should be about the community. And I think that's very important. When I see that our community is losing its voice when it comes to decision like Hicks Lake, when it comes to Meridian Market, when it comes to the council voting down the ability for the community to have an easier process to speak with council members, I think it really goes against what our job is, and that is to represent you. And that's what I plan on doing. I think our council is a little out of touch at times with what's going on in the community, and I vow to make myself as available as I can to be your voice, and that's why I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Because he was unable to join us, we provided Ed Kunkel the opportunity to make a 1-minute statement. It is as follows. I am running for re-election for Lacey City Council and greatly appreciate the voters' continued support. My vision for continued leadership can be summed up with these points. Continue to keep our community safe and vibrant. From supporting our police and first responders to maintaining and improving our roads and parks. Continue to protect the public's money and resources. I support policies that cause our city to live within its means while funding what is necessary for Lacey. Our economic growth is vital. As a business owner in Lacey, I intimately understand the needs and challenges local businesses face and will continue to be a strong advocate for solutions that benefit local commerce. I support further annexation of the urban growth area in a timely and fiscally responsible manner. Thank you. Thank you, Spencer Zeman, Lenny Greenstein, Nicolas Dunning, and Ed Kunkel. We thank our partners, TC Media, for producing and airing this forum. We are indebted to TC Media for years of making these forums happen and educating the voters. We encourage our viewers to be voters. Be a voter in the upcoming election on November 7th. Every vote counts. Ballots will be mailed out around the 18th of October, and you may register to vote up to Election Day. Thank you for watching.